Very fine. So let's begin. The screen visible, guys? We were talking about some mathematical operators. Talking about parentheses last. Then there is something double sign, double percentage sign. Yes, those are from Java. They know this. Maybe they know single percentage sign, right? If that is for remainder of a division, if I divide 9 by 2, so up to 8, it is perfect division. But if it is 9, then there would be a remainder. So it returns that. We call it, what do we call it? Modulo. Then there is something, this kind of thing. 3, what's that? What do we read it? It is, yes, something raised to the power something. So 3 to the power 5, what it should be? Do you know? Could you figure this out by yourself? Okay, maybe not. So verify, obviously you have seen that, okay, R is working as good as a calculator. So far so good. What goes next is some relational operators. There is only one thing specifically mentioning here in the chat box. Just copy paste this and maybe try to figure it out what they are doing. You realize? Everybody? Simple? You see, they are just relations. They are just comparing things. Whether it is smaller than something, whether it is greater than something. I would do just that. Just a minute. There is one thing worth mentioning here, that when I'm comparing, what is this comparing? Others are pretty obvious, especially those who are from who have not been into coding. So please pay attention to this one. Others are pretty straightforward. Is something greater than something? 8 is greater than 7? R says true. Is 8 greater than or equal to 8? Yes, it is at least equal to. So true. Is 8 less than 7? It says false. Now this is some comparing whether they are exactly equal to. So double equal to sign means that comparison. It is comparing whether left hand side is exactly equal to right hand side. So it is, I am asking her whether 8 is exactly equal to 8. What should be the answer? Well, as it happens, it is true. Meanwhile, what I have done, so it's time you know this also. There's a relational operator, Manohar. You are asking this? There in the chat box. Meanwhile, one more thing you can do is, see, when you are executing, it is printing result, executing result, executing result, executing result. After a while, it may happen that it may look like a clutter. Your result is coming in the last line here too. So if it looks like clutter, you can use, you see this? In this corner of your console, there is a, what do we call it? You have seen that clean master kind of sign. So it cleans up your console. The shorthand is Control L. Okay. So clean your console and start afresh. So you can do that. Then, like any tool, R also comes with a plethora of built-in functions. The functions which help you in calculations and you're doing several operations. What do you think it is doing? SQRT. What should be the job of this function? Yes, the square root. So very intuitive. Now a few things before. So this is the beauty of an interactive language. It will follow certain standards. It will follow this syntax throughout your R module. It will be your function name, parenthesis open. When it is this kind of bracket, which bracket is this? Its exact name is parentheses. For slang, you may call it round bracket, circular bracket, whatever you want to call it. Okay, got it? So this bracket, this parenthesis is always part of function. It means function. Board mass, I am giving some argument. I am saying argument 1, maybe there can be multiple arguments. Argument 2, bracket close. So what will happen? The parenthesis will take these two arguments and feed them to this function, and this function will do what it does. There. So this is going to be the syntax throughout. This is going to be in the, what do we call it? The standard or the language, the definition, the grammar, whatever you want to say it for our function, parenthesis open, argument, and maybe there can be multiple arguments depending on the function, and parenthesis close. Settled for all. Let's have a look. So I am saying SQRT, in bracket there is 2. So it should calculate the square root of 2. Manji, what is square root of 2? What is the square root of 2 to 6 places of decimals? Anybody? That's 2 places of decimal. Very smart, Abhimanyu. Here it is. Then comes another thing. And what is that? Check this out. I am not giving you the code. I want you to type it. Type it slowly and see what happens. Not the comment, just the code. Do you see RStudio helping you again? If you have saved the script and if you are typing not very quickly altogether, you would see that, yes, I start typing it slowly. As soon as I type first three letters, it drops me an auto suggestion. It is telling me that perhaps you want to type this function, and it is giving me a quick help also. Yes, you realize that what this function is, what does it do? So can it come handy? Yes, it will come in many times. It will come in handy. So my suggestion: stick to auto suggestions. Reason being, R is again a sensitive language. So first problem, which is very likely when you will be typing, you will be making good complex codes. So you can make spelling mistakes. So auto suggestion will avoid that. Auto suggestion will also avoid the mistakes of uppercase, lowercase. Think about it. I type SQRT2. It does some job. But if I type capital SQRT, see what happens. It tells me upfront that there is no function SQRT with capital S. Now R does not know which function you are talking about, right? So it is always good practice to stick to auto suggestion. Okay. Go for this. Maybe try it yourself. The highlighted one. There is a function exp. It calculates exponential of 3. Done. It calculates exponential of 3. But what is exponential of 3? What is this function doing? It is showing a value of 20.0855 or whatsoever. But what's that? What is it? R is supposed to be interactive language. Log 3. It is not log 3. It is actually anti-log of 3. If I take log of this value, what happens? So log, anti-log, I think that at least everybody is familiar of. Yes or no? It is 9th, 10th level maths. So everybody has been through it. Now say just for the sake of saying, there is a function exp. It is calculating something, and even then I am not able to make out what this function is exactly doing. Whatever is built in R, there is a help document for that. The shorthand to call for that is question mark. Question mark and the function name exp. So as usual, as I type exp, it gives me again several auto suggestions which one to choose, which is the function I want to find the help document for. So it is exp, and as you execute this, try this one out. What happens? You see this last pane, the last section. which was of no use so far, now it is alive. So a help document has appeared here, and let's maximize this. And it is describing logarithmics and exponential functions. What are the functions? What it calculates? What should be the base of that? This, that, exp. Then it is showing you the usage also. What can be the syntax? What is their argument? If I'm generalizing things like it calculates log of x based of this much, then what is x? What is base? All description. Hell lot of information. Seems nice. Interactive people. Interactive. It's interactive. All good. Uh, Now this entire code which we have run so far here in the chat box. So you can put it in one place. So we have taken some functions, we have checked them, and there are many more functions. We'll talk about them as we will start needing them. Okay, now coming to the business actually. If you miss some piece of code, don't sweat it. Ping me and I will send it again. Okay. Don't try to code everything because you will miss the comments and you may miss the part which I'm explaining. I'm specifically talking to the people who are from non-coding background who are not very comfortable with coding as of now. Now comes some serious business. That is the concept of variable. Remember, we used what did we use? We use double equal to sign for comparing two values. It is because single equal to sign has some another job. If I use double equal to sign, it is comparing whether something is equal to this thing. Single equal to sign is what? Assignment operator, we call it. It is assigning a certain value to some variable. So I am saying what I am doing here is a value 5 goes to variable x. I don't know why it has to be x always. Whenever, whenever it comes to maths and coding, it is always the poor x. I don't know why. What everybody has against x. Chalo, it is the way it is. Entire world is against X. Why can't be us? So what I'm doing is a value of X is assigned to a value of 5 is assigned to variable X. So for coding purposes, if you want to understand a code, make it a habit that you start reading it right to left. Okay, there is assignment operator in between. Something is happening here and it is being assigned to this part. So that would be the convention for coding. Good, nice. Let's see. If I run this, suddenly something happens in environment. What has happened? Here in the chat box, along with comments. When I have assigned a value to variable X, now it is available in environment that there is a variable. It is trying to again interact with me. There is a variable X on your environment. It contains a value 5. Now this is the data which is available for me to do something next. I have shared all, Manohar. I have done that already. As a matter of fact, I have shared twice. Or maybe I'll do one thing. I'll share this for now. Stay with me. I'll share over mail. Okay. I'll drop a script file entirely. So let's not worry about that previous functions. Okay. Then there is something very exclusive to R. What is this doing? There is another assignment operator, and this is something unique about R. This assignment operator you will not see anywhere else. This is also assignment operator. This is also assigning a value of 6. Intuition behind is the same. This arrow sign represents that value of 6 is going into a variable y. If I run that, same result. How this arrow has formed? You type the less than sign and then you type the minus sign immediately after that. So it becomes an arrow kind of thing, and when it is arrow, then it becomes assignment operator. But do we have to do that always? The shorthand for creating this arrow is alt minus. Try that out. Type this by yourself. you type y, and then you press alt minus so that this assignment operator appears, and then you type the value you want to assign. Is it happening with everyone, or somebody facing difficulty? I need responses, people. If you are doing just good, I need response. If you are stuck somewhere, I need response. Okay. Okay. Good that it is happening. If I just want to print, I just have to type and execute the variable name, and it tells me that it is this. Try this out. Or maybe don't try. Just tell me what should happen. What would be the result? Mm-hmm. Okay, let's see. So, okay, let's clear console for once. So x was 5, y was 6. I'm saying x minus y. So in other words, I am saying 5 minus 6. So it is showing me minus 1. So, well, that's obvious, but tell me, where is the fun in that? If I want to subtract 6 from 5, why don't I do that directly? Why this variable thing? Why all this circus? Assign this to that. On top of that, there are two assignment operators. And then I am doing x minus y. Here it is, minus 1. In fact, I don't even need r to calculate this. So, what is the utility of variables? So fantastic. Awesome to see these things. Jyoti, Abhimanyu, Rehan, are you Bengaluru people? Is it so? Okay. Actually, the reason. See, what is the concept of variable? That is where the real utility of variables lie. Suppose they were something I did not want to subtract 5 from 6 like this. So we don't do like this. This does not have any practical meaning. Where is the practicality of variable? Let's see with an example. So don't type in, I will drop it in the chat box. I'll show you just a practical example. Suppose there is a parking lot. This is a parking lot, say, of some plaza or mall or whatever you want to call it. There are some cars coming in, and there are some bikes coming in. You know, every evening there is rush hour, and some vehicles are parked. Now, who? I'm not in the parking lot. I'm an analyst. I'm sitting in my office, and somebody asks me, "What is the count of vehicles today?" So I am not worried about whether it was 10 or 25. I have written this code that how many cars have come, somebody will enter this data. Who will enter that? Whosoever is running that parking lot. It may be a manually a security person sitting over there, or it may be a ticket vending machine. So this data will come in from data entry. So I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about what? Because my boss is asking me how much revenue we are having today, how many vehicles have come today. So it is cars plus bikes. It is something. Now pay attention. Tomorrow, not maybe tomorrow, this data will change every few minutes. Yes or no? Yes or no? It is parking lot. So every 10-20 minutes, some vehicle will leave, some vehicle will enter, and this data will keep on changing. But, however, my code doesn't have to change. So that is the real power of variables. Again, you ask me same question. How many vehicles currently? I run the same code without any hitch. You ask me whether cars are more or bikes today? I run the same code. I'm not worried about values. It will give true and false depending upon the data entry. Here, here in the chat box, you can copy paste, you can run, maybe you can play around with the values if you want. And despite you will change these values time and again, you will see the code will do just fine. The analysis code later on, it is working just fine. It is not worried about those values. Now tell me one thing. There are the couple ways we can go ahead with this. One way which I usually like it, and usually students also like it, the way we are doing. I am explaining a part of code, and then I am copy pasting that, and you will take that from there, and you will run it, and all set. Or we can do it one way that I send this entire file to you people, and you will run along. How do you want to go with that? In chunks or one single file altogether? Okay, as expected. Very well. So, okay, good to see that you are liking this. So, we are coming on to variables. Now, variables, uh, variable is something. Now, this is the fun part. This is the fun part because variable can be anything. Variable can be anything. You see that? I am creating a variable current 007. Yeah, I am saying current is 007. Since when current is 007? Mr. James Bond used to be 007. But no, for variable names, it is my wish. No problem. So you can create any variable name, you can call it anything, but please don't take, don't take undue advantage of this facility. Don't make fun of or it may backfire someday. Okay, people. So that's for one. So although it is a liberty that you can use any variable name, but anyway, it is advised that you keep intuitive variable names. They should be explanatory. You should be able to identify when you read your code again after 2 months. If you send your code across, maybe to me or some other colleague, they should be able to make it out very intuitively that what you are doing. Another thing, variable name can be anything. It can be anything. It can be alphabets. It can be alphanumeric also. It cannot be numeric alpha. It cannot start with a number. So that is one restriction. Would somebody please confirm? Am I audible? Am I audible? Loud and clear? So, Jyoti, perhaps somebody glitched at your end. Okay, fine. Here, so here are both examples of variable names. A variable name can be anything, as per my wish. It just has to be with one restriction, that is, it should not start off with a number. Then something I'm dropping in the chat box. Here in the chat box, run it one by one and see what's happening. What's happening? What is it that you see? Yes, you realize that? Because since R is case sensitive, so this Rahul means something else. You have given it 100, very well. Now since this Rahul means something else, then it can take a different value also. This Rahul means something else. It is all happening because there is case mismatch. They have the same spelling, it is just that case is different. So R is treating all three Rahuls differently. It is creating three different variables and assigning three different values. No problem at all. Now pay attention to another thing. Here in the chat box, copy paste and see it for once. Have a look at it, think about it, क्या होने वाला है, what is going to happen, and see if it is happening. Yes, exactly, Jagadish. Everybody realizes that what is happening? Same variable, same case, same spelling. So now I have assigned a value to this. Now it is the same variable. There is no difference. So what I'm trying to do, this variable has a value 100. Now I'm assigning this value 10 to this variable. What is going to happen? It will override the previous value. It is just like you save a document. Yes or no? Whatever you have saved last, only that will remain. So it is like that. Whatever value you have assigned last, that will remain. Everything else will go. Okay. Then there is something which are special keywords. We call them Boolean values. Every language has those two. Boolean values, logical values, whatever you want to call. The true and false. So true and false, you can write them all in capital letters, or you can denote for R true and false as capital T and capital F. Here in the chat box. If I just write capital T, so R gets it. For R, it means true. So mind you, I can write it like this also, but just for shorthand, since it is available, I write T and F. So T means true, F means false. Think about it. What would be the answer for that? What would it print? What is going to appear here? The highlighted one. Error, false, false. What else? Why would it be error? What I'm asking here is, think about it. Start thinking of logics in the code. I'm saying whether this side is exactly equal to this side. What I'm asking, whether false is exactly equal to true. What's going to happen? No, true is not exactly equal to false. True means something, false means something else. So the answer should be false. No, Muzamil, we saw just recently. It doesn't work that way. If uppercase means something, lowercase doesn't mean that. It is case sensitive. Maybe you can give it a try. These kind of things you can do by yourself. Just give it a try. If such questions arises, just type in, no? Type in, execute, see the result. Okay. One small trivia question for you people. We just compared whether true is equal to false. No, it is not. Tell me what should be the answer of this. Don't execute, just see and tell. I am saying true is double equal to false. Okay, that's false. I am saying true is greater than false. And bingo. Anybody who is surprised? It is happening because, yes, in Boolean we are calling them true and false. In digital sense, in mathematically, true denotes 1, false denotes 0. So that is why mathematically, since it is a mathematical operator, it will compare mathematical values. So true is greater than false. Yes, it is so. Then What should be this? What should happen here? What do you think should appear? I am saying t plus t, again mathematical operation. As it happens, yes, when it comes to mathematical operations, so it will take mathematical value of true, and that is 1 plus 1, so it is showing me 2. So here in the chat box, so these are boolean values, these are special values to every language. This these two words, just true and false, bring all the logic to any language. You know, there was a survey. There was a survey. If mankind is to lose all communication power, all languages, what is the minimum number of words they should retain? Suppose we lose all intelligence, but we have certain intelligence to keep a very few vocabulary, very few words. What would be they? How many would be they? And rest we can build on along with time. Just a trivia question. Just it actually happened. It is a survey conducted by some very interesting people. As it came out, what was the most logical answer? I mean, which the jury considered that it is by far the most logical answer. So it was that the mankind should be able to identify three things, three words, and rest they will build on along with time. So that is inevitable. Along with time, they will learn everything else. They can be as intelligent as they are today if they retain these three words, these three things. What are they? 0, 1. Any guess? What is third? Water. Now I really don't know what the evidence that person provided behind these things, but seems like logic to me. Yes or no? Not dollar, Sonam. What the hell? What the hell dollar has to do here? Not dollar. Water. It. Okay. So 0 and 1 are that important. I deviated a little bit, but okay. Here in the chat box, then there are some built-in functions. Some of you have already seen. So that is not much of a surprise. The shorthand is question mark. The actual function is help. You can use the help function to take help document for a particular function, or you can just use question mark directly. Both work equally good. Then comes something efficient about these languages, which is we call it composite function or a function within function. Suppose I have to do some operation, I have to add two values, then I have to take logarithmic of those two values, Then I have to take sine of that logarithmic, and then I have to take a square root of that sine. How can I do? Maybe I will do it in the same sequence. First I will add, then I will take log in the next line, then in the next line I will take sine. Doesn't seem like a nice way, no? Yes or no? I am adding two values, 10 and 15. I see it is 15. Okay, now I copy 15, and this time I will take log of 15 and then go ahead. And then I will take, okay, log of 15 is this, then I will copy it. Doesn't seem like a nice way. So that's the real power of interactive languages. It is composite functions. There can be composition of functions because they provide me Bodmas rule. Remember Bodmas rule? Bracket within bracket. What will be solved very first? The first thing which will be solved is the innermost bracket. The innermost bracket said 10 plus 5. It will take addition of that and solve the logarithmic of that. Then comes next bracket, then comes next, and so on. So as many brackets as you want you can put there, and every function will calculate according to the sequence of brackets. And you can sort that out in just one single line of code. So this is another powerful utility here. But you know what will go wrong with this? This will go wrong here. You will open bracket, forget to close. You will close the bracket, forget the opening one. You will open some brackets and you will close some brackets, and they will not be equal. So that is one major problem that is going to happen. But is there a workaround? Is there a workaround? Yes, there is. We just saw a little while ago that when it comes to auto-suggestion does what? It not only gives you right spelling and right case, it also gives you parentheses. When you choose the function, it automatically opens and closes the parentheses and automatically places your cursor in between to write further arguments. Maybe give it a try. Try to type this by yourself. Look for auto suggestions and see if you are able to type it without any worries of parentheses. Give it a try. Give it a try. I mean it. Okay. Okay. Fantastic. Great. So we have been through certain things. I have been really slow so far in my. I don't know about you, but in my own convention, I have tried to go very slow. So how are you people feeling? Those, especially again, I am talking to those who are from non-coding backgrounds. Those who are from coding, they must be feeling bored already. So maybe you have to bear with me for another session. But I'll try to keep it interesting. Sounds good. Okay. So, okay, much said about numbers and numeric functions. So there are several number thing you can do. Addition, multiplication, you have seen. There are square root and logarithmic and whatnot. Then there is another kind of data which comes your way. When it comes to, dealing with data, data is not only numbers. Data is also alphabets, department name, designation names. Yes or no? Marital status, gender. So that is also data. So you should be able to identify these things also. So we call them strings. Strings is nothing but collection of alphabets. And how do we denote strings? So understand that you are trying to supply a string when it is in double quotes or single quotes, just like SQL. So I am assigning a string apples. I am assigning this value to what? A variable called s1. Remember variable names, if I am choosing variable name, it does not have to be in quotes or double quotes. It is not about that. Quotes or double quotes are to represent string values. Variable name is just like that. It is flat. Whatever I want to call, it is variable. So here in the chat box, okay. Something else in the chat box. Give it a try. See what's happening. What it is. What should we do? What should be happening? Think of it, and let's see what would happen. All right. You checked again. Okay. I myself did not create variables. It throws an error that non-numeric argument to binary operator. You are using a mathematical function, but you are the arguments you are using mathematical operator, but to this operator you have not given mathematical values. Getting it right? Yes, it should have happened. You are asking a nonsense question to her. It is reverting. Sorry, I don't know what you mean to say. What is apples plus oranges? Nothing. But this means I should know. You see, if I am adding true plus true, it is giving me answer. If I am adding 5 plus 10, it is giving me answer. Maybe I should know the type of variable, whether it is this variable is containing mathematical value or not. Otherwise, maybe I will enter these errors every time. I'll keep giving this plus sign to something string, and it will keep throwing me error. You have seen that, no? Cars plus scooters, cars plus bikes, whatever it was. It was giving me value because it was mathematical variable. It was a number value. So there is a function which tells me whether this variable belongs to which class, what type of value this variable is containing. That function name is class. Don't mistake it with the function, the class of C. That is entirely different thing. Whatever you have read from C, C++, Java, please put it on hold. Okay. So there will be similar names and they will be doing something entirely different. So stay with R now. In fact, I should I should put it this way. The function name is class. You can again get it auto suggestion. You type class and the argument is I'm checking class of the string s1, the variable s1. I don't know whether it is a string so far. It will tell me. The function will tell me. Right? You got it? What it is telling me? This also you saw in SQL. The alphabets are represented by what data? What is the data type we call it? We call it character, right? So that's what is happening here. Could you tell me what would happen now? I'm taking class of y. There was a variable y. We created it right in the beginning. As soon as we started variables, we created a y. What's going to happen? We check the class of this variable and it is numeric. It is a number. So pretty much sorted. Okay, that's also good. Think about it. What is going to be the answer for this? What is going to be the resultant of this? Give it a thought. Maybe now, check this out here in the chat box. Yes, you see why logical? It will not give you true and false. Think about it. Board mass people, it will solve this bracket first. If I select this only, if I am running this only, whether 8 is double equal to 6, it is going to give me an answer, which would be true or false. In this case, it would be false. Now you are asking class of the true or false, whatever it has appeared. Fair. If I run only this condition is false. But I am not asking whether it is true or false. I am asking the class of this false. So the class of this type of variable is logical. Got it? So I think settled so far. Class class is all about checking the data type on above. Just like you saw in SQL, there are data types. Okay, I'm coming on to logic. I'm coming on to all these data types in a bit detail with a data structure. See, there are data types, which can be, what have you seen? Which can be numeric, it can be character, and it can be Boolean or logical, whatever you want to say. So these are major three data types in which your data will happen. So these are the data types. Then there are data structures. I need some structure to manage my data. So now think about it. What is data? What kind of structure should I need? What is data? Data is nothing but rows and columns. Yes or no? That's data is all about. There are some columns, there are some rows. And the data is like that. Employee table, you have seen that in detail. So there is a column employee ID, there is a column employee city, there is a column maybe designation, there may be a column department, and so many things. So what is the data? Data is nothing but a collection of columns. I can say that in a way. It is collection of several columns. So we are coming down to the most basic structure of a data set, and we call them vector. So vector is nothing. You can consider vector like a column. It is a linear set of values which usually contains similar kind of values. If it is alphabet, it is alphabet. If it is number, it is usually number. And it is just like one column of a data set. If I'm looking at each column individually, so it represents one column. So that is vector. अभी डेटा टाइप की बात दोबारा करूंगा बिकॉज आप बोल रहे थे लॉजिकल देयर यू नीड सम क्लैरिटी ऑन लॉजिकल so when I'm discussing this vector structure, I hope you will get that easy. So how do we create a vector? To create the vector, the function is, we call it combine function. I'm combining several values in a linear structure, and the shorthand is C. So here, along with the chat box, here in the chat box, and there are some comments also, so you can take help of that. There are some 5 employees in a company. Not only 5 employees, there cannot be only 5 employees. But yes, we are taking data of some 5 employees. So we are creating a vector age. So it is just like if I'm looking at age column in some data set. I am interested in just one column for now. So that is age. You have seen the class. What is the class of this age? You have just seen that there can be 3 data types. There are 3 data types. Think about it. What kind of data will you deal with? If you have a data set, what kind of columns that data would have? It would have numbers. It can have numbers, of course. Maybe it can have character, some strings, and maybe it have some logical values also. Some column which just runs like true and false, false and true, and that's it. What else? When I say numeric, I am taking into account that it can be integer and float both. Rehan. Both are numbers, no? End of the day, both are numbers. So we are not going into that intricate detail. So your data can have a number column, just like age you have seen. It can have some strings also, some character column. There in the chat box. C represents combine function, Jagdish. Just like question mark is shorthand for help, C is shorthand for combine. So there in the chat box, maybe they are recording in that data set, there is a column called city of work, in which city that employee is working. So maybe that kind of thing. So its class is character. We are recording city of work of my 5 employees. They are working in Delhi, Mumbai, Kolkata, Goa, Jaipur, wheresoever. Goa? Who works in Goa, man? Nobody works in Goa. Anyway, every time this comes along, I think I would edit this and I forget it. So there is age column. So there can be numeric columns like age. Then there can be character columns like city. What else? Can there be logical column? Can there be Boolean column? Yes, as it happens, it can be there. Here in the chat box, tell me if it makes some sense to you people. I think it makes sense. There can be a logical column also. Perhaps in their data they are recording a column which is locally, whether this employee is local of the city or whether this employee has come from some other city from his native place and he or she is just here for the job sake. Hurry, run me by. Isn't it so? Isn't it possible? So there can be a logical column also, no? They are just responding by true and false there. So what would be the class of this kind of column? This vector would be of class, what do you see? Logical, of course. So what all you have seen is, I think now some clarity on logical, guys. There was a hell lot of confusion, especially for logical. Logical values are basically true and false. I can directly write true and false, or maybe I can test a condition which returns true and false, and then according to BODMAS, it will be solved. Okay, so I think no further confusion regarding that. Now, wheresoever you have checked class, or maybe let's do better thing. We have discussed that there are types of variables. We discussed that, no? Broadly in data science terminology, when I communicate, so broadly there are two kinds of variables: categorical and continuous, right? We talked about that, and within categorical there can be different kind of categories: nominal, ordinal, interval. Within numeric there can be different kind of continuous variables. There can be discrete variables which cannot have fractional part, and then there can be continuous, or better said perfect continuous or ratio, which can have ratio, which can have proportion, which can have fractional part. So I think we have been through several things, so it's time that I leave you. What I will do is, the code which we have run today, I would mail this code to you people, okay, so that you can go through them time and again. The way I have dropped you today commented code, I will also drop you some fresh code. There would be some hints, there would be some comments, and I would want you to run it by yourself. Try to understand what is happening with this piece of code. Okay. So maybe there will be some confusion. Maybe you will need some help from the help documents. Maybe you will not get something. So we will build on that on in the next session when we meet. Okay. Then there is something which is called packages in R. You can you should remove these variables which are found here. You know, they occupy memory. So with this broom sign, maybe you can clean them. The history also you can clean it from time to time, because again, to an extent, it is clutter. It also engages memory. I was talking about packages. Packages in the sense there are several packages required which are built in, prepared in R for several purposes. We'll come to them one by one. So today I'll introduce you to one of those packages. Come to this fourth window. This fourth window, which was seemingly useless. No, it is not that useless. Click on this packages tab, the packages tab. and there are two options: install and update. What our packages are, with base functions, when R was built, and R was particularly built for statistical analysis. So there were several functions which were built in R. Then it happened along with time, it was realized that there should be some more utility. These base functions either are not very efficient, or maybe they are not doing that good, and even there may be requirement of a new function altogether which is not available yet. So along with its evolution, so there were these packages built for different purposes. So along with these packages, there are packages which are there for practice and learning. So we are going to make use of one such package today. You click on install and you type in swirl, SWIRL. Maybe you will get this kind of auto suggestion. Okay. You click on swirl and install. It would take a few minutes. Everybody doing it with me? You go to this fourth pane. In the fourth pane, you go to this packages tab. You click on this packages tab. There are two sub tabs: install. You choose install, and install causes a pop-up. When it comes a pop-up, you don't change any setting. Let it be the way it is. You just type the package's name. So it gives you facility to type package. So package name is swirl, SWIRL. You click on swirl, maybe choose auto suggestion. Again with all default settings. There is a tick mark here. You don't uncheck it. You don't change folders and library. You just simply go to install. Okay. Okay. Aditya, stay with me. Aditya, you are presenter. Can you just share the screen, please? Let me have a look. Aditya, you are presenter now. I think you have two devices. Both are named Aditya. Raj. If you log in by two devices, at least name one of them as cell, or maybe call it a laptop, something. Aditya, your other device, it is presenter now. I think this one is your laptop. It will not work, no? Aditya, just check your program files. Number one, it seems like just go to this your program files. Let me have a look.
Hello.
Yes, Aditya. Aditya, go to the program file icon.
Yes, sir. Yes, yes.
Aditya, you will have to keep your mic on off. There is way too much disturbance there. I am saying go to this Windows left bottom corner. Yeah, go to this program files, all programs. What I doubt is that there is no R there. Click on this R. Which version is this? There are two versions. Okay, down below. Go to RStudio down below. And which version? This is RStudio. Open RStudio from here. Yes, our RStudio icon is highlighting. Let's see what is the message there. Aditya, down below on your taskbar. On the taskbar, there is RStudio icon. It is highlighted. Aditya, taskbar, where there is GoToMeeting icon, where there is R, where there is Google Chrome icon, down below. This one. You click install, and what's happening? Unable to connect connection with our session. Okay, close this RStudio. Save. Yes, simply. Go to packages this time. Type word. Come back to desktop, Aditya. Right click on your computer, the computer icon. No, not there. That top left corner, the computer icon. Right click. Uh, let's see properties. Why this Windows 7 is favorite of you people? This version of Windows has always been a pain. Okay, Aditya, wait, just let me walk through because at least it will get recorded first. So then I will. It will take time. It will not go immediately. It will have to be tweaked out. I'm taking the screen back for now. I need it to show others. So once this is recorded, you can also follow. All of you must have installed it by now. Now the keyword is library As you type, there would be auto suggestion. It is there to call a package into play. You have installed this package, so installation has to be done only once. But now in this particular session, I need this package, so I will have to attach this package to environment. Just like we need some variable in environment so that we can operate upon. So I need package also in environment so that I can use it. So for that the function is library, and here we pick it. I would recommend that before you come to Sword, you close everything else and you clean your environment. And it is telling me to type Sword as a function, parenthesis, along with parentheses. When we are ready to begin, Manohar, I'll take. Give me a couple minutes at least. Let me record this first. I think it is only problem with Manohar and it is problem with Aditya. Everybody else is good to go. Is there anybody else who is facing some trouble? Those who are on the same page as that of me, then it is all good. Anupam, maybe you can read out the error. What is the error which it is throwing? Okay, let's go ahead. When we are ready, say when you have time and you are ready to go for some practice, go for some fun, type word and enter. Type word, it tries to be friendly with you. It's asking, what shall I call you? So let's go ahead. Then it tells you some hints. It guides you with proper instruction what you are supposed to do when. So it is telling you when there are these three dots, so that means you should press enter. You should read out things. There would be three dots, that means you should press enter for further instructions. So let's press enter. Then it is giving you further instructions. Okay, fantastic. You will be asked questions like this and there will be multiple choice answers. So you can choose the option number. So there are three options, 1, 2 and 3. Which one should you choose if you are coming along? Which one should you choose? You should choose any of them. All three mean the same thing. It is just an example. She is fooling around you. So press any of this. It is just there for example. So this is the way we will choose our options and keep moving forward. Again, we see that there are three dots. So maybe I should read it and go ahead. You should not move along, don't run it quickly along with me. You can take time to read it for once, or maybe you can do that again. You can restart RStudio, so it will run once again. So this is the part where actual practice begins. So there are there are practice modules for all the things. You will start off with basic R programming. There are heavy statistical analysis part, and you can go into that also. But for now, we will stick to this thing. So let's choose our programming. So that is option number 1. And when I do that, a course is installed. So I can still exit, or maybe I can still continue. So here again, we choose R programming. So there will be further sub options. Then there are further sub options: basic building blocks, workspace, sequence of numbers, this, blah, blah, blah. So maybe you can give a try to these first 3. You start off with option number 1 and you keep moving forward. It will keep asking you some questions and basic questions, giving you hint, taking care of your answers. Say for example, I choose 1, 3 dots, 3 dots. Okay, here is the question. It says simplest form, R can be used as an interactive calculator. So it is saying show me by typing 5 plus 7. Okay, let's show it by showing 5 plus 7. I am adding, and okay, you are on to the next question, and next, and next, and next, and this way you will proceed. Okay, so this will be a fun way to learn some basics. Here, so there are all the things there. It will tell everything, Jagdish. When you will come along, you will see that it will give you that what you have to do what you want to exit. You want to temporarily exit. There is buy. You want to go to previous option. You want to go to next question. If you don't want to solve this particular question, you can skip that too. So there are hints everywhere. So go through them. Go slow. No need to rush up. Okay. Anytime you feel bored enough, you can press escape and you can go back. Jyoti, maybe you can share the screen and let me see for once what is on your screen. You are just, it is the same device, no? Do you have option to share the screen? Maybe I can have a look. Jyoti, there is a question. In the last, there is question where your cursor was blinking. You have to type 5 plus 7 there. It is asking you to type that. So your answer should be 5 plus 7. Do that. Okay. You see, that's the answer I was looking for. Soil is praising you. Then there is next question. It is telling you something. So don't think that it is a direct question. Sometimes it is hint, sometimes it is question. So pay attention to that. This time I don't think it is question. Yes or no? So when there are 3 dots, it means it is just instruction. You should go to uh, next cell. If it's question, you have to answer there. Fair? All good. So I think I can take the screen back. Now, Manohar, let's see what is the problem at your end. Those who have no problem at all, you are free to leave. Bye bye and take care. Just rest well, but practice also. Okay. So you have ample masala to go into practice. So those don't have any further question, you are free to leave. Bye bye. See you tomorrow. And very welcome. Manohar, maybe you can share the screen. Manohar, you there? At least respond yes or no. Okay, what's happening? You go to install, you install the package sword. What's happening there? Manohar, go to install, check. That's maximum enough. So screen is pretty much clear. I want to see the issue now. Manohar, I don't know what you are up to. Why don't you install Sword? Jyoti, you guys will not get grades of individual assignments. You will get your overall grades at the end of bimester. You will get your grades when your SQL and or modules are complete. So that would be a combined grade, not individually. Manohar, it seems your connection is uh, not strong enough. Is it so? Okay, guys. Bye bye and welcome. Manohar, your connection isn't helping. Aditya, what about you? Any luck? You have our version 4.0.2, but you have Windows 7, so our studio is not rare, rarely helping. So, what could help you, Aditya? I'm dropping a link here, and others also, those who have similar problem, those who have older version, obsolete version of Windows, or maybe so it may be a problem with them. They can also damn. Here in the chat box, Aditya, uninstall this RStudio, the current one. I think it would be the latest version which you have downloaded from the website. So scroll down from this now. Do that later. Do that later, not just now. I'm telling you what has to be done. So you would uninstall this current version of RStudio, and from here, from these older versions, you will download RStudio 1.1. Scroll down. It is there. There is a version 1.1. You would install that. No, this is 1.2. Down below. 1.1. This one. Okay. So you will download this one for Windows. So I think this will fix it. Same goes for you also, Manohar. Maybe give it a try. Okay. Well, very fine, guys. So it is well past time. So bye bye. Meanwhile, try your hands on sword. I will anyway drop a I will drop a practice code for you by evening. So maybe you can run that. It will not take much of time, but you should spend at least 15-20 minutes for that. Okay. So please do that also. Okay, guys. Well then. Bye bye. Take care. We'll connect again.